Gonna look to call the bait on the first one. The opponent throws the flame charge and Goodra says literally, what is that damage? Pathetic talonflame. We farm up, throw the aqua tail. Aqua tail has been buffed this season. It almost knocks out. We manage to snipe before the opponent gets to the next charge move. Back out comes Ninetales, looking for the charm down, farm down. Goodra reaches the aqua tail, doesn't quite knock out, but we manage to get the resisted dragon breath farm down. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing something slightly different. We're not running a full triple shadow team. Goodra this season did get buffed and I'm yet to see it showcased. It's ranked really high on PV Poke. It's currently ranked 36th in the rankings and I'm wondering why has no one showcased it. I think that's for two reasons, to be honest. Dragonite is the preferred dragon just for that oppressive dragon breath damage. And of course Guzzlord comes closely behind because it's dark type and is able to resist the Shadow Claw damage from new top meta threat for Alligator. Goodra, being a pure dragon type, in this meta is going to struggle of course against them ice types and steels. Using Dragon Breath, Aqua Tail and Power Whip, the only damage output we can put on a steel type is going to be non-stab Aqua Tail, so naturally I thought we're going to pair it up with my trusty Shadow Poliwrath operating as our safe switch. Of course, now looking at my team building, we are ABB weak to charm, so why not bring out an old favourite in the form of Kanto Muk. I think Kanto Muk has a lot of play in this meta, because it's also got access to Thunder Punch to hit that very annoying Alligator. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we see an Ultra League arch nemesis, the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. The Thunder Punch coverage also comes in clutch for all them flyers. We force a Protect Shield, the opponent farms up to 100 energy, which is where I anticipate the opponent throwing the Flame Charge. We catch onto Poliwrath, the opponent then build up to the Brave Bird, which I respect. With a Protect Shield, they then send out Giratina. Poliwrath with a huge energy lead, going to be able to put in quite a lot of work. These Icy Winds don't get same type attack bonus, but 2 is going to get them down into the red. We tank both Dragon Claws. I'm going to farm up, look to throw the next Icy Wind on the CMP tie. This is now going to put a 2-stage debuff on Giratina and leave him in perfect farm down range for our featured Pokemon today, Goodra. The 2-stage debuff Dragon Claw doesn't secure the knockout, so not allowing the opponent any free farm, I aggressively send out Goodra. Goodra gets the full Dragon Breath farm down and the opponent's final Pokemon is Greninja and Goodra is looking primed to sweep. The opponent fire off the Night Slash. We easily withstand the damage. The opponent tries their luck, getting the catch, then send back out Talonflame. I have no idea why the opponent baited it. They've got 55 energy. Why would you not just YOLO the Brave Bird? But regardless, we're just going to shield up this move. We're going to be able to survive a Night Slash. So the first Power Whip will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent is going to throw the Night Slash, which isn't going to knock out. We're going to reach Power Whip number 2. And it's going to be High Greninja by Greninja. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. Holy crap, the Tin Can. Definitely something. We're also ABA weak to as well as Charmers. We're going to throw 8 Poison Jabs. Look to catch the Zap Cannon onto Goodra where it is resisted. Of course, it is a dreadful matchup. But the opponent goes for the classic U-Switch, I-Switch and send out for Alligator. The opponent goes straight for the Hydro Cannon, which is resisted. We are going to be able to withstand the damage, reach the Power Whip, and we're going to full send it and look to get ourselves early shield advantage. Power Whip does force the Protect Shield. The opponent's going to get a massive Shadow Claw farm down. They're not quite at the back-to-back. Of course, we will lose CMP with Kanto Muk, so we're just going to take the extra. I believe the opponent is now 2 off the move. However, I only counted 4 when they threw the first Hydro Cannon, so instead of going for a 1 and throw, we're just going to throw the Thunder Punch, securing the knockout, and let's go Poliwrath. Poliwrath with shield advantage, pretty lethal, depends what they've got in the back. We send out Poliwrath, the opponent then send out Drapion. If this Drapion is on Aqua Tail, this is game over. The opponent only throw 5, which is a good indication they don't have Sludge Bomb. The opponent throw the Crunch, fishing for the debuff, which they don't get. Poliwrath going to fire off the Scald. Scald goes unshielded. Drapion is now in perfect counter farm down range and Poliwrath is going to muscle its way through the remainder of the team. The opponent throw 1 further Crunch. Poliwrath gets the full counter farm down. Back out comes the Tin Can. The opponent should be reaching for that top left, but if they want that work, Poliwrath will almost certainly give it to the opponent. We've still got 2 Protect Shields, 2 hide behind. Of course, we are going to shield up the incoming Zap Cannon. We're then just going to over farm, throw the Scald at a range where I believe it will be lethal, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Kanto Muk into Poliwrath. This is a good matchup for us as due to our pure poison typing, we do resist fighting and we've got access to Thunder Punch, although a non-stab Thunder Punch doesn't do too much because Poliwrath is very, very bulky. The opponent tanks the damage, return fire with the Scald, which we're also going to no-shield. The opponent then try their luck at catching the Thunder Punch onto Greedon. We bank the Thunder Punch and send out Poliwrath. This opponent actually is on Trailblaze. I've been wondering, obviously Trailblaze is great for Feraligatr. However, what the heck does this Greedent do when you're stuck against Giratina? Do you just throw double resisted body slams? Do you throw Trailblaze, attempt to vamp up your Mudshot damage? I think it's a cool party trick as a say switch, but so miserable if you get stuck against something like a Ghost. As always, my mind has wandered. So returning to the commentary, we throw the Icy Wind, forcing a Protect Shield on the rival Poliwrath. The opponent throw the Scald. Again, not wanting to get farmed down, we pivot into Goodra and we see the Simul swap into our nemesis, the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. We go for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. And as always, trainer, enjoy your fucking self. We always call the first one. The opponent throws the Flame Charge, recognises that bait was a dreadful idea, and they're going to concede the match. GG's. Heading into the next battle. Hello Ninetales, what a lead. It's even better that the opponent is staying in. We can actually one-shield Poison Jab farm all the way down, and that is definitely what I'm looking to do. The opponent fire off the Weather Ball, they're not wanting to get farmed down, send out the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. We go for 2 Poison Jabs and the Thunder Punch for optimal fast move timing. We've got so much energy, so once again, to and fro, only giving away 1 free turn, where they're going to throw 2 further Poison Jabs and look to catch the Flame Charge onto Goodra. Kanto Muk has set us up in a very nice position where we've got a 2 to no shield advantage. I opt to sack Goodra as it's going to be dead weight against the returning Ninetales. We farm up, throw the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail isn't quite lethal, but we do manage to Dragon Breath farm down before the opponent reaches the Brave Bird. Back out comes Ninetales. Ninetales looks for the Charm down, farm down, but Goodra still not done. Reaches the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail isn't lethal. We manage to Dragon Breath farm down. The opponent's final Pokemon is Trevenant. They do get a very nice Shadow Claw farm down. However, this is just going to be game over as Kanto Muk has access to Dark Pulse, which we are going to throw. The opponent does smartly throw on the CMP type, but trainer, there is no chance I'm letting this through. We shield up the Seed Bomb, return fire with the Dark Pulse, and Poliwrath is going to get a well-deserved rest. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see some Shadow and Shadow Crime, Kanto Muk into Feraligatr. A pretty neutral matchup, however, as we're on an ABB team, we're always going to look to pivot in neutral situations, so I attempt to catch the Hydro Cannon onto Poliwrath. The opponent holds their energy and then fire off the Crunch. Them showing me Crunch is going to be great information for the endgame, as if Goodra does get a line with it, we know there's 0 chance of them throwing an Ice Beam, as of course they're going to have Hydro Cannon as their second move. It's very nice to bait out Giratina here, as of course Goodra is able to hit the super effective with his Dragon Breath damage, but Aqua Tail and Power Whip would be doing absolutely nothing, so it would be all about fast move pressure. We managed to put a 2-stage debuff onto this Giratina, and this now sets up a perfect opportunity for Kanto Muk to come in and get a very nice resisted Poison Jab farm down. The opponent tried to vamp up their attack with the Ancient Power. The RNG gods say, not today, trainer. They throw the Dragon Claw. Muk then leaves absolutely loaded. The opponent then send out Skeledirge. So 2 turn into 5 turn, of course, 2 Poison Jabs and the charge move, the first Dark Pulse, forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. Again, 2 further Poison Jabs and the next Poison Jab. The opponent is now all shields down and it's now Goodra time. Disarming Voice is the hardest move left in the game, so of course we are going to respect it with a Protect Shield. The opponent then try their luck at catching an Aqua Tail. However, to be honest, using a 5 turn move, you have to be somewhat of a potato to let the opponent catch. Of course, I'm always going to look to throw in the middle of the animation. The opponent throw the Crunch. We're then going to take him out with the Aqua Tail, keeping some health on Goodra. Back out comes Skeledirge. We fire off the Aqua Tail. Despite it getting buffed this season, it's still not the best move if you're not a water type attacker. We're just going to shield up the next Disarming Voice, commit to the Dragon Breath farm down, and Goodra is going to clean up. GG's. In the next battle, we see some Shadow and Shadow Crime, the Dragon Breath tearing it apart, but so is the Poison Jabs. I always look to take the extra here, hoping the opponent throws on alignment, which they do. The opponent then send out Cresselia. Cresselia, a bit of a problem for this team. Kanto Muk with an energy lead is our best way of dealing with it. We throw the Dark Pulse. I'm then going to throw the Thunder Punch on the CMP tie to a potential future site. Does the opponent have it? If this is a Moonblast or Grass Knot, we'll easily survive, but either way, we've put some huge damage on Cress, and we put it into a range where it is now more manageable for our backline. The opponent full send the future sight, Depleting their energy, we can now send out Goodra. I'm going to look to farm up, throw the Aqua Tail on the CMP tie to the Moonblast if they've got it. They could have Future Sight and Grass Knot, of course. Aqua Tail goes unshielded and does secure the knockout. Back out comes Dragonite. I farm up, look to catch the Dragon Claw, back onto Poliwrath. Banking my energy on Goodra in the process. The opponent gets counter farm down. They show me their third, which is another Talonflame, and the opponent says no thank you and concede the match. In the next battle, we see Giratina in the lead. Pretty neutral for us as we have access to Dark Pulse that does around 50%. However, as we're on an ABB team, I am going to have to look to pivot at some stage. We're going to throw the Dark Pulse first, look to get off some massive chip damage and then send out Poliwrath. The opponent opt to go for the chip and dip, throwing the Dragon Claw. However, this opponent actually is staying in. I am worried the opponent is going to try and catch an Icy Wind on something that resists ice, so I need to be careful. The opponent continued to stay in, so we are going to take the initiative, throw the Icy Wind. Icy Wind from this range will be lethal. The opponent actually opt to shield and then send out Nidoqueen. I build to the Skull bait with the Icy Wind, and the opponent actually call it. And I think that is a huge misplay from myself. I don't bait often, and all I did there was give this opponent even more free farm. Of course, you should never bait often sometimes. Or like me, just fucking send the nuke, as that bait was dreadful. We now send out Goodra, we tank the Poison Fang, we're then going to look to catch the next Poison Fang back onto Kanto Muk. The catch is quite nice, however the issue is here that our Poison Jabs are double resisted, so we're not going to be able to Poison Jab, farm down this Nidoqueen. So we are going to throw the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch goes unshielded. The opponent then send back out Giratina. They bank, I believe they're one short of the back-to-back Dragon Claws and then send out Talonflame. Talonflame's instantly greeted with the Thunder Punch. It's now all down to a 2-shield Goodra to clean up. We farm up, throw the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will be lethal from this range and force a Protect Shield. This is a really tricky spot. I am going to shield, respecting a potential Brave Bird. The opponent's actually on Fly. So we're going to have to no-shield this, as we know the Dragon Claw is going to hit for super effective. The opponent throw the Fly. We withstand the damage. Giratina is incredibly low. I'm really hoping this Aqua Tail is going to be enough to knock out. Aqua Tail doesn't get the job done. If the opponent's one short, we win. If the opponent's actually doubled up, we're going to lose. The opponent actually was at the double. So the moral of the story is, don't bait like a potato. I very rarely bait, and every time I do, I instantly regret it. I think I played that game super poorly. However, it's always important to show the games where you don't play well, explain what you did poorly, and hope that you guys can play better than I can. In the next battle, we see another Dragonite in the lead. We're going to overfarm, throw the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch goes unshielded. This opponent opting to take shield advantage. They then send out Snorlax, so we pivot into Goodra. In an ideal situation, the opponent pivots into whatever their third type is, so we can align Poliwrath with this Snorlax in the end game. The opponent does indeed pivot out into Feraligatr. They have got 2 shields. We're going to full send the Power Whip. Power Whip forces a Protect Shield. After gaining that shield, this game's just over. I'm just going to throw the Aqua Tail, get any chip damage onto this Feraligatr I can. We can just sack Kanto Muk now. And of course, Poliwrath's going to have no problem cleaning up. The opponent recognising they can't Shadow Claw farm down. Do throw the Hydro Cannon. We're just going to send out Kanto Muk. The opponent, of course, will be winning CMP. The opponent now depletes their energy. We can send in Poliwrath. The opponent is going to reach one departing Hydro Cannon, but Poliwrath far too thick to care about any resisted charge moves. You can see Hydro Cannon does about 15%. The opponent sends out Snorlax and concedes the match. In the next battle, we see Feraligatr in the lead. My win rate is sat currently about 68%, and you can see every time I try and catch, these opponents just aren't throwing, which is great recognition. And what the heck is on my screen? The opponents send out Purified Vic. Hello algorithm, are you real? I'm just kidding, but what a cool pick. I'm not a huge fan of promoting toxic fast move pressure. However, if you're really annoyed at all the common water types, I think Vic could be quite a lot of fun in this meta. We send out Kanto Muk to operate as the damage sponge. The opponent fire off the acid spray, lowering my defense by 2 stages. They send back out Feraligatr. That Hydro Cannon would have done a lot with our debuff. We fire off the Thunder Punch. The opponent's now going to be 2 off the Hydro Cannon. Once again, I try my luck at making a catch. The opponent bank a potential Ice Beam and then send out Skeledirge. This is a pretty nice matchup for Goodra. Ice Beam will do more than Disarming Voice. It's just a hard hitting move. Non-stab Disarming Voice isn't the best move. You're going to see it does hit us for super effective, but doesn't put us anywhere near Incinerate farm down range. So we save our Protect Shield, fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail isn't quite lethal. We do manage to Dragon Breath farm down the opponent, send back out for Alligator. I commit to the Power Whip, forcing the energy. Hydro Cannon at this range will be securing the knockout. However, we can send out Muk, able to outpace to the Thunder Punch, and we're going to take that game. Judging by the huge amount of lag, this opponent has force closed the app, but GG's regardless. In the next battle, we see the pesky spider, Galvantula, in the lead. Galvantula users love to bait, and this spider is getting torn apart by poison jabs. We're going to look to call the lunge bait. This opponent actually full send the discharge, fair play, then pivot out into Drapion. Drapions are going to be running Aqua Tail this season, so I count to 4, look to catch the Aqua Tail onto Poliwrath, where it's going to do absolutely nothing. Way back in Season 8, when I first hit Legend, only using Shadow Pokemon, my Shadow Drapion in the Great League was actually running Aqua Tail and Sludge Bomb. However, in Ultra League, you'd be a lunatic to run that meta. I could have overfarmed more here, however, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So opt to throw the Scald when I've got enough energy to outpace Galvantula to the Icy Wind, which will either force a Protect Shield or secure the knockout. We gain ourselves a shield advantage and lower the opponent's attack. I was thinking of putting it all on Goodra, however, I am worried the opponent might have a Charmer. With that in mind, we're going to just throw the Dark Pulse, not even taking the Volt Switch damage. Dark Pulse secures the knockout. The opponent's final Pokemon is Charizard, and this should be GG's. This Thunder Punch will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, then going to pivot out into Goodra. Of course, we want to see how much a Dragon Claw does. I imagine it probably does about 35%. About that. We can of course tank this next one. However, I've got a Protect Shield. We're just going to use it. We're then just going to overfarm, put Charizard into range where I think the Aqua Tail will be lethal. And Goodra is once again going to clutch up the dub. GG's. Heading into the next battle. What a yikes lead. All 3 of my Pokemon lose to Annihilate. Well, Goodra's not too bad to be honest. I guess it depends on their moveset. I look to call the bait. The opponent full send the Shadow Ball. And Jamie Finn, Yusa are in absolute shambles. I return fire with the Dark Pulse. We look to fire off the Thunder Punch but lose CMP. The opponent take me out with a Night Slash, which is good information to have. We can send out Goodra. We know we can't get hit with any super effective Ice Punch. This is only a Night Slash. However, it actually did more than I was expecting. You can see Goodra is already down to around 60% health. The opponent then send out Registeel. I should have pivoted immediately. However, I'm almost certain the opponent didn't pivot out of that lead matchup. When they got Regis, they've probably got a Poliwrath answer in the back. So we're just going to stay in, look to get off as much chip damage as possible. Hope the opponent bait for no reason whatsoever. We can save Goodra as the third shield, and then Poliwrath might have a chance. The opponent, of course, does have a Poliwrath counter, and I'm going to say no thank you and concede the match. In the next battle, we see another Shadow Dragonite in the lead again. We're going to look to take the extra. Some opponents look to catch this Thunder Punch, some let Dragonite go down. Either's fine for me. This opponent does go for that catch. However, as they've caught on for Alligator, we're going to go for the Chip and Dip, as Thunder Punch, of course, does some very solid chip damage again. I look to catch the Hydro Cannon. This opponent hold their energy. However, regardless, Poliwrath is just going to completely wall this and commit to a very aggressive counter farm down and leave with so much energy. We're going to leave over an Icy Wind, so if Dragonite does return, we're definitely going to get off 1. We might even get off 2. Back out comes Dragonite. We throw the first Icy Wind, which of course will be lowering their damage output. Can we reach one further Icy Wind? Yes, we can. The opponent is now going to be forced to 2 shield. They want to keep Dragonite alive. The opponent does indeed invest both Protect Shields. We send out Goodra. The opponent reset their debuff, sending out Empoleon. So the opponent is also running ABB and looking to draw out the Poliwrath. We tank the Drill Peck, banking our energy. We then send out Kanto Muk. Kanto Muk's just going to do as much damage as possible, as Goodra is going to be the key to victory. We're able to reach the back-to-back Thunder Punches. This will be knocking out the Penguin. Dragonite will be able to Dragon Breath, farm me down. However, we've still got 1 Protect Shield, 2 high behind. We're just going to fire off the Aqua Tail, and that is going to be all she wrote. And that is going to draw to a close today's showcase. So my thoughts on Goodra. I'll be honest, it far outperformed what I expected. I haven't ever really used a non-Shadow Dragon Breath user in such a bulky league like Ultra League. However, it did perform really well. Its coverage is great. You've got that grass coverage for stuff like Swampert, which I saw absolutely everywhere yesterday when I were on ABA weak to Swampert. However, I didn't see a single one today. However, it's still great for stuff like for Alligator, Poliwrath, etc. And the Aqua Tail is really cheap and spammy and hits common meta threats like Skeledirge and Talonflame for super effective. I think Kanto Muk is also a fantastic non-XL pick If you've got one available, I'd recommend using it. You can see it perform fantastically today. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.